This is LXBN TV, and I'm Colin O'Keefe. Twitter recently announced it would adopt a Do Not Track browser option, but another offering its, quote, tailored suggestions feature has some calling Twitter's privacy practices into question. To discuss the issue, we bring in Tanya Forsheit, founding partner of InfoLawGroup and author on the firm's excellent blog covering privacy, security, technology, and many other topics. Tanya, starting off with the most basic of questions, what exactly is Twitter's tailored suggestion service?
Sure. Well, happy to be here. And Twitter's tailored suggestion service is new. We don't know a lot about it at this point. We know pretty much what's in the new privacy policy that Twitter has posted and that they notified their users of by email a couple weeks ago. And there had been a lot of publicity already around the Twitter's agreement to do a do not track, or to honor do not track voluntarily. And do not track itself is very complex, and definitely not enough time in this short soundbite to explain all of it. But the bottom line is it has to do with ongoing discussions between browser companies and various regulators with respect to whether users will be tracked or can choose not to be tracked as they browse across the internet and on various websites, and to have targeted advertising sent to them. So one of the questions involves whether that means do not collect my information wherever I go, or just don't send me targeted advertising based on where I go. So that's a whole other complex issue. Twitter came out and said, we're going to honor voluntary do not track, voluntarily honor do not track. And everybody, thought that was great. There was a lot of real positive stuff around that. At the same time, however, Twitter announced this tailored suggestions feature, and tailored suggestions appears to be something whereby when users of the service are on websites that have a Twitter widget or feature or application, that Twitter will use that information to suggest to those users people they may want to follow. So based on the websites they visit, here are other people that, there are folks out there like you who visit these websites also, and we think they might want to follow Oprah, or you might want to follow Oprah because you went to, I don't know, shopping site XYZ. So that's kind of how it appears to work. And the real controversy has to do with choices, user choices, whether that's something that happens automatically or something that a user can choose to do or not to do. And at this time, it appears it is something that is done automatically. This widget data is automatically collected when users go to those sites.
Interesting. So don't users, right now it's automatic, but shouldn't it be, don't users have to in some way consent to their data being tracked by Twitter, either with Twitter itself or on the website, on which they're being tracked?
Right. So this is the eternal problem in privacy law and analysis, and those of us in the field spend endless hours and days and weeks and months of our lives trying to figure out this consent issue, because it is a tricky one no matter what. Companies do all kinds of interesting things with data and want to be able to provide benefits to users using that data. So that's important, but how do you get consent? So consent can, in fact, be obtained through the use of these privacy policies that you're used to seeing, and the question is whether it is by default, right? So the question is whether by using the service, so going to Twitter or going to websites where Twitter has widgets, if you're a Twitter user, that automatically means you are consenting because you've been provided with this privacy policy that says, here's what we do. You may not have read it. A lot of people don't read these things, and we know that from research, and that's a problem. But we haven't really got past that issue yet. We don't know yet how to provide better notice to users, and all companies struggle with that. But so one way of saying we have consent is we put it out there, you had an opportunity to read it, and you know what happens, and so you consented, unless you go and you opt out and you uncheck the box, which is the way it is right now. They have it set up with the box checked that says I want tailored suggestions, and if you want to opt out, you opt out, you uncheck the box. Some people think that it would be better to have an opt-in, where users have to affirmatively say, yes, I want to be tracked, or yes, I want to have tailored suggestions provided to me. And so that's the old opt-in, opt-out debate. What is meaningful consent? Which way, do we go? And in this country, for what it's worth, usually the law has said that opt-out is sufficient, but sometimes not when we deal with highly sensitive information like financial services in some places like California, and in healthcare, things like that. So it remains to be seen whether regulators will continue to feel that an opt-out or default consent mechanism is sufficient for this purpose.
I know based on reading your post, there's already been some backlash over this. So what has the response been like, and in which direction do you see this going? I mean, is it possible, we're going to see some FTC action taken on this?
Right. So we don't know whether there's going to be some FTC action. We can all speculate as to whether that might happen. These kinds of issues have been very much in the spotlight for the FTC, and they've been focused on online privacy and tracking issues, and so that's been a hot topic. What we have seen is some members of Congress who have already written to Twitter asking for more information. At this point, just asking for more information. They want to know, how does it actually work? How do you both have a do not track, which they say, we honor do not track. So how do you both honor do not track and have the tailored suggestions feature? How do they work together, and how are they consistent? Do they, how does that work? They also, these particular members of Congress also want to know generally from Twitter, how are you collecting, using, sharing data, storing it? One of the things Twitter said, and actually this was some feedback that we got from our blog post directly from Twitter, was they wanted it to be pointed out that they only keep this widget data for 10 days. After 10 days, they start to delete it, which is something they discuss in their privacy policy. So one element is, how long is it out there? A lot of people worry, well, if my information is out there forever, who can get it? The government can get it, bad guys can get it if something happens, if there's, if hackers try to get in, whatever. So, so we do see congressional reaction and questions. We do see, we think, there's some possibility that the FTC could have more interest in this. FTC has in the past investigated Twitter for other kinds of privacy data security issues, just like they've entered into some settlements with Facebook and Google and MySpace in issues involving the use of online data. That doesn't mean that they'll have a particular interest in this, but it is something that provokes some questions under existing FTC law, consent decrees that the FTC has put out about how you make changes to privacy policies, and whether you have to go back to users and get affirmative express consent as opposed to just telling them this is what's happened and that's it. So that's a question that we think is an interesting one from a legal perspective. Some questions raised about it. We'll see if the FTC or if consumers take further action.
It's going to be a very interesting topic to keep tabs on. Of course, Twitter right now using it just for suggesting users and only keeping it for 10 days. But of course, Twitter's a company that's trying to increase revenue as they go forward. So you never know if these types of things are dry runs on future products. You just never know what's going to happen going forward.
Of course, and it's big data. It's the world of big data that we live in, and there is a value to that data, and everyone who's out there using the internet needs to be aware of that. There are a lot of companies, and we work with lots of companies to try to find appropriate ways of handling, collecting, using, sharing data through the data lifecycle that provide a benefit to consumers, but that are also potentially profitable and of benefit to organizations to take advantage of all that data.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be, once again, a really interesting topic to watch, especially with a company like Twitter. Well, once again, that was Tanya Forsheit of InfoLaw Group. For more insight on this story, be sure to visit her firm's publication. It's excellent, one of the very best privacy blogs on LXBN. It's at InfoLawGroup.com, so check that out. And for more LXBN TV interviews, visit us at lxbn.lexblog.com. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks, Colin.